Westcast
Network.
Now things will start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day. The goods from the wood.
Hot damn.
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Coming from the woods to deliver the goods. Aye!
I'm Pat.
This is a good night, man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And today we are hitting the open road. And our traveling companion today from Ludlow, Kentucky. Some have called him the jewel of the Ohio River.
Oh, man.
It's Dave Waite, everybody.
You did your research.
I know. I looked at Wikipedia. I know what's up. I looked at some maps.
Check your file.
I knew you were from Kentucky. I was like, where's Ludlow? And I clicked it. I was like, oh, Cincinnati, basically.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Right across the bridge.
Yeah.
You're a touring comedian, so you've done a hell of a lot of traveling, and I
Absolutely.
felt like traveling would be a good theme for Dave Waite. The first thing that just sprang to my mind was like, what's a place that just surprised the hell out of you? We're like, this place is awesome, and nobody knows it, or has that happened yet?
No, I mean, I feel like I'm really rarely surprised by a city.
Really?
I mean, sometimes you have fun in a city that isn't fun.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like
There's towns where you're like, oh, this place is cool for 3 days. I wouldn't want to live here.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think most of them are really like that.
Well, like
I mean, there's something like Madison, Wisconsin. I love that town. It's dope.
I've been to Milwaukee. That was actually one that I was because I'd spent a little bit of time in Chicago, and I have friends that lived in Milwaukee. And I went to Milwaukee. I was like, this place is awesome. It's like Chicago, but you can drive around and stuff.
And it had the whole Fonz hookup.
Yeah, they have a bronze
Never
Fonzie.
hurts. The bronze Fonz.
Yeah.
Well, Milwaukee, I have like a joke. You probably heard about that in my act where I say when I was 12, we went on a family vacation to Milwaukee, which Milwaukee and Cincinnati are essentially the same place. And that's kind of the gist of the joke. But the reason we went to Milwaukee is because my dad, for real, was collecting postcards, and they had a postcard convention. So we had to go there all weekend and would like root through postcards. And then we went and saw like a Milwaukee Bucks game, which is almost like watching a postcard of basketball.
This was the 80s Milwaukee Bucks, I'd imagine, with
it was like
Jack Sikma and Brad Lohaus.
I think it was like early 90s, and it was like they were playing the Washington Bullets, so the Bullets were still a thing. But we did go to the Safe House. Have you ever heard of that in Milwaukee?
No, I haven't. What's that?
It's a spy-themed restaurant. It's super dope.
Oh, wow.
The food's all right. It's like an Applebee's type food.
Right.
But you go down like this alley in downtown, and there's a sign out front that says import exports. And you go in this room, and they have like a log book and all this stuff. And there's just a bookcase there, and you kind of stand around, and you're supposed to say a password.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the password, they'll make you dance, which is kind of fucking stupid. And then all of a sudden, a bookcase just moves out of the way like a fucking movie.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
That's super dope. And then when you go inside and sit down, they have a closed circuit TV so you can see people come in and make the same mistakes you did in the little room.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
My favorite was there was a place in Milwaukee called Foundation, which is bills itself as the best Mai Tais in Milwaukee. It's like a tiki bar. And so it's, you can't see in front of your face. Like, it's completely dark, basically. The only thing that are lit up are, like, the tikis on the wall and stuff. And they have a drink there called the Beach Zombie. That's $11, and it's limit 2 per customer.
Jesus.
And
that price, I'd be limited to 1.
Yeah. And so, I was just, I'm like, I'm not looking to go that crazy. I'm just going to get the Mai Tai because that's what they're known for. But a buddy of mine who is a drunk, for sure. Like, not weak in the alcohol department at all. Got the Beach
Say
Zombie.
his name?
No, yeah,
Do you want to give him credit for his hard
yeah,
work?
absolutely, yeah.
If he drank 2 beach zombies, he definitely deserves
No,
his number retired.
What I was
Put
gonna
his
say,
picture on the
he
wall.
only drank one, and he was shithoused. Like a guy who drinks a lot drank one of these things, and I was asking the bartender, I was like, "So what's in this?" And he's just like barely listening. He's just like, "I don't know, man, a bunch of shit, just so you don't be driving." And he got it, and I took one sip of it, and it was like pineapple flavored gasoline. Like it was insane. But yeah, and I ended up, I don't know, like I said, I ended up having a lot more fun than I ever imagined in Milwaukee.
I want to go west, I got the Milwaukee blues, got the Milwaukee blues, got the Milwaukee blues. I want to go west, I got the Milwaukee blues.
Am I the only one that's still shocked that they have a postcard convention?
Yeah.
I did want to go back to that. That's amazing. So wait, your dad collects postcards?
He collected mostly postcards from the town, Ludlow, the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
There must be a lot of those.
At the turn of the century, from like 1904, I don't know, the early 1900 to about 1918, there was an amusement park in Ludlow because the streetcar came out from Cincinnati, and that was like Ludlow at that point was considered like a suburb. Even now, it's like continuous city from, even though there's a river, it separates Cincinnati and Kentucky. But so there was an amusement park, and there's like all these like postcards used to be elaborate.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
were like paintings essentially, and then they were printed, on but somebody painted. Whatever, like they weren't some of them were pictures, some were paintings.
Yeah.
A lot of them were made in Germany before like First World War. So I know a lot more about
You get one with a picture of the Kaiser on it.
So what, he had a lot of like Ludlow postcards, and that was
it was, they were rare, so he would have to go.
Yeah, so that was
he would go to flea markets all the time, but that was kind of like, he also was very interested in this thing called Motordrome. They used to have these like motorcycle races, but there would be like teams, like 2 different teams, and they would like battle. They would build like these wood tracks like on an incline, and then they would race, and they were called Motordrome racing.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah. Or
But
at least I've seen pictures of it.
But it was like super dangerous. Like they had accidents all the time and stuff like that.
They used to race on like wood racetracks with cars and things back then.
So the motorcycles would go up in the stands and kill people. So
Jesus.
So my dad was like researching that, like, so he was trying to find postcards about Motordrome, like, because there was like one in like Kansas City, like every city had one, and like had a team and like all that stuff. So he had the postcards from that as well, and like, so he was into it for a while.
We know now that Ludlow is apparently the postcard capital of the country, perhaps the world.
Well, because
besides Germany.
Where's the last place you went outside of L.A.?
I was in Atlanta recently.
Nice.
ATL.
We all know it well.
Great town.
Atlanta.
I was out in the Buckhead area. That's where.
All right.
Yuck.
Yeah.
They knocked it down. Have they rebuilt anything there? Because they were going to try and turn it into this weird Rodeo Drive sort of thing. They used to be all like bad like nightclubs with horrible names like Tongue and Groove and like Liquid and stuff like that.
I mean, it was pretty bro heavy out there. Like there was a lot of bros, and like when I was doing the show, there was people in the. I was like. Look at people's like, I was like, that guy's watch probably costs more than my flight, shit like that,
Did you get to sample any of the local characters in Atlanta, like Bicycle Shorts Man or Baton Bob?
No, I didn't even know
that's one thing about Atlanta that's great. If anybody visits Atlanta, there's all these like interesting characters. There's this heavy element of interesting just town characters, and one of them is this guy.
A town full of good nights.
Essentially.
Yeah, well, there's one guy.
Atlanta cooking on good night.
Bad Street, USA.
Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Baddest street in the whole USA. Have you been to Bad Street, brother? Have you been to Bad Street?
I've not been to Bad
You
Street.
can't, because the Freebirds will kick your ass.
Old man McDuffie will not have it.
She gave the cops a call, but you might as well call the Army, the United States Marines, because nobody handles bad street scenes.
There are 2 main characters in Atlanta. There are a few, but the 2 main ones is there's this one guy that stands at the intersection of Ponce de Leon and Moreland, which are 2 of the major streets. If you go down Ponce, I think
right near the Murder Kroger.
Yeah, right near Murder Kroger.
I've been to that Kroger.
It's a good place to go if you want to buy crack, but if you go there for groceries, you may never come back. It's Murder. Murder Kroger. It's Murder. Murder Kroger. It's a grocery shop in this murder Kroger.
And you escaped
This girl I
alive.
dated used to live right by the murder Kroger.
A friend of mine saw Elton John without his wig at like 2 a.m. shopping for cereal at Murder Kroger.
Wow, I've seen legitimate murderous situations at the parking lot of the Murder Kroger. But anyway, at the corner every day, there's this guy who stands at rush hour, and he's this very, very not like just large. He's tall and kind of built, and he's like middle-aged African American guy with who stands there with a baggy T-shirt with the sleeves cut off and bicycle shorts, and he has a cane and a big Zach Morris cell phone, and encased in the bicycle shorts is the largest set of genitals on a human being you'll ever see. And he just stands there with the bicycle shorts with the imprint of this potato in his pants. And he just stands there and just nods at people. And nobody knows, like, he's a house painter to just ruin the whole mystique of it. But, like, people don't know why the fuck he's there. And there's all these, like, weird sort of theories that he's, like, a male prostitute that just women pick up because he's got this gigantic advertisement in his pants.
The 1,000 women that I have made love to originated from the corner. When I first started standing on the corner, I was doing 3 a day because I was a young man at that time, so I could handle 3 a day.
There's that, and then there's this other guy named Baton Bob who hangs out at Piedmont Park.
Now, see, Baton Bob would make more sense.
Yeah, I agree.
He hangs out at Piedmont Park, which is like kind of the central park of Atlanta, but it's also in this very gay area of Atlanta because Atlanta is a very gay city. And he's this guy that apparently he lived in St. Louis, and he had a mental breakdown. He was just like a white collar dude, and during therapy they were like, "What were you obsessed with when you were a kid?" Well, he was like, "Well, I always wanted to be a florist." And I always was obsessed with drum majorettes when I was a kid. And they're like, well, follow your dreams. And he moves to Atlanta, and he walks around the park in a full majorette costume with the majorette costume that's like cut up like a women's bathing suit, and he just marches up and down the park and like throws the baton up, and he leads all the he's like the marshal of all the parades and stuff. And I remember one time he's walking through, and there are these 4 very Twinkie-looking guys that were just sitting on this just sitting on the grass, just looking blasé, just looking completely over it. And Baton Bob comes by and he just goes, "It's spring, bitches, get used to it," and just throws the baton up and just does a routine.
From the city, darkness flees in the wake of our hero.
We love you, Baton Bob.
And gloom retreats into the cracks of the pavement.
Oh, goody.
Atlanta's a great city.
Is he good with the baton?
Oh, fuck yeah, man. He's a pro.
He's at practice.
Yeah.
Bicycle shorts guy, by the way, he's got the cane and he's got the oversized cell phone.
Yeah.
He's like a wrestling manager who can't decide what gimmick he wants to go
or
with.
Either he has big instruments to be a frame of reference or something like that.
Right.
He has his own Yelp page, by the way, if you guys want to look that up.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. What's it called?
Bicycle shorts, man. Yeah, he's 4.5 stars.
Are there?
Well, I mean, with the equipment he's carrying, he has to be.
Yeah.
Do you have any hometown characters like that you could think of for?
There's the
Cincinnati
guy, the quarter guy in Cincinnati. He always asks for a quarter. He always has a different Anytime I see a homeless guy that has different outfits on all the time, I'm always like curious, like, where are you getting all those outfits?
Right.
You know? And then so I'm like, you're not getting a quarter. But somebody took it upon themselves. They made a Facebook for have a quarter guy. That's what it's called. And they took a picture of him, and then they superimposed his face on a quarter. And that was his profile picture. And then they wrote, like in the thing, they were like, "Hey, man, I'm kind of down on my luck, so I lost my camera. So if you see me, take a picture." So there's like a ton of because he always hung out like outside of bars in the bar district.
Yeah.
So there's just a ton of people like drunk with the quarter guy.
And by outfits, are they just like different, just regular outfits, or is he wearing like a gorilla suit or something?
No, nothing fancy. Just like because you see the guy enough, like you're like, there's a fucking quarter guy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then you're like. He's got new shoes. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the thing. It's like if you're gonna be, a hobo, a homeless person, you might as well have a hook.
Have a gimmick.
Have a gimmick.
There was a famous one in Boston, a fellow called Mr. Butch, And if you went to Boston University, everybody knew who he was because he was in Kenmore Square. Turned out he'd been there for decades. And he was just, he used to probably make a lot of money buying underage kids beer and things. But he was just this fella. He was a brother. And he kind of looked like Jimi Hendrix at one point later on because he used to carry a guitar with him that he could just barely play. And he was a local institution, but then they started to like gentrify Kenmore Square and put in all these hotels, so he got kicked out and ended up in like Cambridge or something. And sadly, he actually died in a traffic accident in like 2007. And his obituaries made the papers and all this because he was just a local institution. He'd been there for decades, Mr. Butch.
I just got dumped by a chick. I don't know. Now she wants me to come with her to Burger King's. Help, God. I'm not going to Burger King's. I'm going to goddamn liquor store.
There's a guy who hangs out outside of Variety Playhouse in Atlanta and plays trombone. And I've been going to concerts at Variety Playhouse since I was 16. And I probably went to a show there maybe 2 years ago, and he's still out there, and he hasn't gotten any better. Like, you would think that after that many years of just playing outside every night, but he's still just, I don't know if he's like too fucked up or whatever, but it's just.
Well, he's like the guy from Jethro Tull. He can play that flute for decades, but he never got any goddamn better at it.
That's true.
There was a guy in Atlanta that, not to make this the theme of it, Atlanta crazies, but there was one guy who was like this very built guy. Like he looked like Ving Rhames sort of, and he used to wear just a women's dress, but like a slutty club, going out to the club sort of dress.
Yeah,
and he would just be like, "Give me some money, motherfucker!" You know, and he would just do this for like hours. I don't know how he didn't get hoarse, but he would just like threaten people to give him money.
Atlanta's a fun place. I wish my aunt would move back there instead of Savannah because it was much more fun visiting her in Atlanta.
So yeah, you mentioned going to Milwaukee. Like, were there any other notable family vacations when you were a kid?
Man, we went to Disneyland a shit ton. We go down there, and then we go visit my great aunt. She was like a hoarder. I remember one time. She was like, "We got soda in there," and I went and grabbed a Coke, and I was about to drink it. My dad was like, "Oh Jesus, don't drink that!" And I looked on the side. It was from like They had like the 1984 Olympics logo, and it was like years past that, man.
She probably still had like OK Soda and shit like that up in there.
She would like mail boxes of like junk from like. She would just buy like. And we'd be like, "Oh, here's the box of junk." Like she would just go like whatever sort of dollar clearance store, buy a bunch of junk, put it in a box, and then mail it to us.
If she ever wanted to hoard postcards, she could borrow from your dad.
Where did she live?
She lived in St. Petersburg.
Oh, okay.
Russia?
St. Pete.
St. Pete.
Any good road trips down to St. Pete? Did you guys fly or did you guys take like?
Man, we always
the
drove. Jesus Christ, man, it's the worst.
That's the way. That's the way we did it
my
too.
dad
Man.
would always.
That's going down 75, right?
75, and then it would. I don't know. It would take 12 hours, 14 hours, 15. I don't know, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was always insistent. He would leave at like midnight.
Yeah. It's the best time to go.
It is because there's not as much traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I lived in Atlanta. I'd drive down to where my folks lived in Central Florida, and it was always leave at midnight and then come in just like. I would just come into the house like in those Western movies where everybody's coming back from the battle with the engines and they're all just worn and just beaten up inside. And that would be me coming from it. And I remember one time I was going down 75 and I stopped in I forgot what it was in Florida, and I stopped at one of those rest stops. And I was just weary. I had done an all-nighter the night before because I was writing a paper. And I walked into this rest stop at 3 a.m, and I looked into the office of the rest stop because there's always an office where like the person that runs the rest stop always does their paperwork. I don't know what kind of paperwork you do at a rest stop.
Maps,
mostly
stacking
doing
maps.
the books,
about the vending machines.
Doing the books from all the vending machines. And
Step it up, Pepsi, or you're out of here.
I look in the window of it, and on the bulletin board staring at me, I'm like disoriented from being just sleep deprivation. And I look in the bill in there, and on the bulletin board they had this picture of a diamond. It's like this picture of a diamond, and in the diamond, superimposed into it, is Conway Twitty's head.
Fuck yeah.
And he has this look, this kind of like maniacal look on his face. And he's just got like the froed out hair, and the chest hair is very prominent, and he has like a gold chain, and he has this smile, like, you know, and I'm like going out of just like lack of sleep. I think Conway Twitty's gonna jump through the fucking window out of this bulletin board and eat me, you know, just like I'm dead. Like, it's just like it's like Beetlejuice, like it's just, or the Candyman or something like that. He's gonna jump out and just kill my ass, you know.
I've had erotic dreams like that, often involving Conway Twitty.
Hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely.
So one place I went that I went to just because I had a friend there, and I was driving across the country, and I was like, oh, this is a place to stop. And it turned out to be fucking awesome, is Lawrence, Kansas. Has anybody been? It's the home of the Jayhawks, the University of Kansas.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the Jayhawks from the border war.
No, that too.
Yeah.
That's where they got the name, and they had they have a like a T-shirt store there, and there's a shirt in there that just had an outline of the state of Kansas and said Kansas, keeping America safe from Missouri since 18 whatever. And I was like, oh, that's a funny shirt. I should get that. And I mentioned that to somebody there, and they're like, oh, you know why that is, right? I was like, no. I was like, well, basically, at some point, Missouri just marched into Lawrence and burned it to the ground.
The border ruffians. That's what they used to call them.
Yeah, during Bleeding Kansas, like that was just an excuse. Like, this is right before the Civil War. That was just well, nobody's looking, so they just burned it to the ground. So their school rivalry is very intense.
Is that the one where they brought the cannon and tried to blow up the hotel and all that shit?
Oh yeah. It was completely like they wiped it off the map, but. Now Lawrence has like a really cool little like music scene, and I don't know, it was really
college towns, man. I like college towns. Yeah,
that's right. I was born in a college town. Yeah, from Auburn, Alabama. Yeah, so
you gotta have a head shop. That's the first thing.
Yeah, our head shop opened up. Our head shop opened up in probably 1998 or something. Named David's Gallery, and it was actually like an offshoot from there's a head shop down at the beach called David's Gallery. So David, I guess, moved to Auburn, opened up another one, and then at some point David was just like, "Fuck you, I'm out," and left. And instead of changing the name, they just took off VID off the sign, and to this day it is called The Gallery because they just didn't want to.
Probably what everybody called it anyway.
No, everybody called it David's Gallery.
They didn't go The Gallery?
Yeah, now it's called The Gallery. Yeah.
Did they have knives and things in there?
Man, that's against the hippie code, man.
No, man, I used to see these head shops, and they had all these knives and all this stuff and all this biker stuff, and I used to love that shit. I like that more than the fucking water filtrate does.
What's on the head shop you going into?
This was in
Knives and Bongs.
No, it was New Hampshire. That's where it was.
Hey,
so it's probably like the only place, to go for these things like
Was
this.
it a state-run head shop?
No, it wasn't. The state, no, the state don't run the head shops up there, just the liquor stores.
Ours was in Florida was Mac Daddy's Underground.
Fuck yeah. I went to Germany, and the only person I met in Germany that didn't speak English was a guy who ran what I thought was like a traditional American head shop. Like, I'm walking around Hanau, which is the hometown of the Brothers Grimm, and looked at the statue, and that was cool. And I was just walking around, and then I see a bunch of bongs and pipes in the window of this place. I'm like, oh, cool, head shop. So, and I'm thinking it's going to be an American head shop where they have records and posters and things to look at. So I go in there, and it is just like wall to wall, ceiling to floor, nothing but bongs and pipes and glassware. And I'm like, I can't get any of this on the plane, and so I was trying to back out, and then this like 8 foot tall, dreaded German, hippie, like, what the Teutons looked like, I imagine. And I was like, oh, I didn't. And then he started speaking to me in German, and I was just like, ich bin Amerikaner, and I had to like explain while I'm backing out the door. But that was, I don't know, that was
That's
the
a
one.
hell of a road trip there, Rivers, driving.
Well, you mentioned head shops. That's what I thought of. Yeah.
Did you send a postcard while you were there?
I believe I did. I feel like I did. They had a lot of postcards in Florence that were regarding the David and his nakedness.
See, all the ones in Florida for postcards, it was just like the same people from the like early '90s, just guys that look like American Gladiator Nitro or American Gladiator Malibu, and like Speedos with like old ladies, and it's just like having a fun time in Florida, and it's just like they're all from that era. It's like, permanently.
You ever go to them beach shops and they've still got like the postcards have been sitting there for decades, so you can get like Van Halen postcards that are from 1980. There's one of them places down on Santa Monica Pier has stuff like them postcards have been sitting there forever. I mean, there might be an Imperial German one there.
The bikini one, where it's just a bunch of girls' asses. That's the one.
That's a classic.
Yeah, and they're all in the slingshot bikinis that,
like, go up over the hips and stuff.
Yeah, it's, like, weird. Like, that's always weird, like, in, like, the early 90s or the late 80s, whenever you watch those movies like Ski School.
Ski School. It's not about learning how to ski. For Dave Marshall and his gang, life is one big party.
Welcome to my kingdom. I will bed you all before the night is through.
Like it's like the seductive lady takes off her dress to reveal her G-string, and it's like up to her ribs. It's like this weird sort of
So they don't have the panty line.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think so.
Get rid of the VPL.
I just thought it was just a weird
I thought it was just one of those fashion changes.
Yeah,
because it used to be, too, when you'd watch, like, the 70s or the 60s ones, they have those really low-cut, like, hip-hugger ones and everything.
The high ones, the slingshot ones, definitely don't go well with the fanny pack. It's very disjointed,
Well, it really, nothing goes well with a fanny pack, let's be honest. It's a real fashion faux pas.
Unless you're a professional wrestler. But.
Yeah, well, I heard Hogan just keeps his gimmick in there, if you know what I'm talking about. The green gimmick, if you will.
I thought you meant his balls.
I remember.
No, that was what's his name from Atlanta?
Baton Man.
No, Baton Man. The other. Bicycle Shorts Man.
Bicycle Shorts Man.
But I remember going to Disney World. There was a time at Disney World where, because we went like multiple different times, but there was definitely a couple years where, I mean, everybody had a fanny pack. Like it wasn't even like a fucking. Nobody even thought that it was fucked up. Even now, like. The fanny pack, even among dads and moms and aunts and stuff, is pretty passe. I mean, they even caught on.
I don't know if I could find one. I wouldn't be against it if I was traveling.
I prefer a sparring.
What's that?
The thing that you wear over kilt.
Talking about pouch where you keep your magic dust.
Yeah, sparring.
I assume that's what they keep in there. I don't know.
I went to Europe.
I think they keep haggis up in there.
They freaked us out about pickpockets, so I had like this fanny pack that went under.
Under those awful things like that. Yeah,
belt.
My brother still has one, and it hangs down under his shirt. So what's the goddamn point?
Well, you were supposed to like tuck it into your pants or something. Yeah, I'm fucking walking around all.
Where it looks like you're pulling your money out of your ball sack.
Yeah.
Well, gives it a little bit of a.
People get pickpocketed. That was like I went on one of those school trips. It was like people from my school went. So we went to like Italy and Germany and all that. And they were the big meeting. They're like pickpockets. We're there an hour. They fucking get the teacher chaperone. They got to nail him. The teacher. He had this big camera bag, and then these gypsies threw keys underneath his leg, and him being American was like, oh, somebody dropped their keys, so he goes to bend down and pick them up. Boom. They fucking rush him. They try to grab his fucking camera bag. He holds on to that. Boom. Lifted his wallet.
Wow.
So
damn gypsies, they're clever. They're like beavers. They work in tandem like that.
So that was like, he's been there an hour. The trip's like 10 days. So the rest of the time, he's like fucking mooching money off the other teachers. It was amazing. Like, I was like, this is ridiculous.
That's the thing, man. We're
gypsies.
lucky that there aren't gypsies in like Mississippi or Alabama.
But I always remember, like, sometimes they'd be like, I would hear people talk like, oh, the gypsies are in town. Like, they travel through town.
This trip when I went to Germany, like, the gypsies have been living in this cornfield outside of town. I'm serious. They were like, yeah, these gypsies have been living in this cornfield, and they, like, come and, like, raid the town at night. They've just been, like, and I'm like, do you not have police and phones?
Well,
they probably 2003. Like,
they probably guilt them out about Hitler if anybody tries to complain.
But yeah, there was just gypsies living in a cornfield. I'm like, you can't just deal with that. Like, how hard?
Well, Hitler did. That's the thing. So now all that Holocaust guilt they can just throw at you.
You don't have to. You could just throw them out of town. You don't have to do anything.
I think
like, what is this? The Gestapo? And it cuts to the quick over there.
Yeah, that's true.
I think like gypsies sometimes grifter and gypsy are interchangeable. Like
also fortune teller is another sort of interchangeable thing with the gypsy.
we were warned about the pickpockets and stuff. I went on a school trip to Paris, and they had a similar meeting where they told us all about the pickpockets and stuff. And I think some people maybe got some shit stolen out of their room by the maids and stuff, but other than that, it was fine. But when we got there, a pack of 9-year-old children followed us down the street, and they were all smoking cigarettes.
Well, it's France.
And they were yelling at us in French. Like, it was me and 2 of my friends, and we were like, oh, we're going to walk to the little, like, mall thing where there were some stores and stuff across the street, and there was just, like, these children, and we were probably 15 or something, and they were, 5 or 6 years younger than us, just following us around, just frantically smoking and yelling at us and like trying to be threatening. I'm like, there's just a bunch of kids following.
Kids are out of control in Europe like that. They really are. The English is horrible children over there. Horrible. They're gonna bring back them orphanages like they had in all them Dickens novels.
That's right.
Man, in Italy, like we had like the young high school girls with us, and man, that was Italians. Man, they were like super hot blooded. They were trying to fuck those girls. Like they couldn't even like go like 2 feet without getting like catcalled or somebody fucking proposition. Like they don't.
Yeah,
they love the ass pinching over there too.
Yeah, they're way.
I'm
more
trying
forward.
to start that here, but the cultural mold is just different.
Oh God! One of the things that apparently they always yell at women that are bustier is the Italian word. And I don't want to. It's the word for milk seller, like latte vendolo or something like that, and they just like they just yell like. Milk woman, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, it sounds horrifying.
Italia.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, when we went to Florence, I was with my parents, and we were planning on we'd rented like a nice little Italian villa. We were gonna stay there, like a little, cool little place with a courtyard. I imagine. I don't know because we never actually went. Because when we got there, it was literally 103 degrees Fahrenheit in Florence, and we were just like, we'll just die. We'll just bake to death. And so we, being the good Alabamians that we are, we're like, we're going to stay at the Holiday Inn. We stayed at the Holiday Inn di Firenze.
Well, you got to, because
they
you need
had
the air conditioning. Seriously.
It was weak-ass air conditioning.
Once you stay in a bunch of those shitty European hotels, you're like, fuck this. It's like, man, you guys are really... Sometimes, like, people talk about European... Like, I think maybe if you go, like, to Scandinavia, everything's fucking streamlined. And, like, in Germany, everything was... pretty nice, but like some of those hotels and like I've been to Spain and then fucking Italy, and you're like, man, this place is fucking dumb.
Yeah,
and there ain't no air
even
conditioning.
the good ones ain't no good.
Yeah, I remember staying in London in the fucking. It was like it was almost like $90, and that was 15 years ago. No, 14, whatever. It was a while ago.
Yeah,
$90 a night, and the bathroom was like down the hall. There wasn't even a bathroom in the room. You're like, man,
Jesus.
this is.
I know you get rooms out the TV and all that.
Yeah,
shit.
no TV.
Their TV isn't that great anyway. We get all the good shows on PBS anyway.
I never, when I was a kid, I never traveled to Europe. All the hotels that I sampled were the finest roadside dives in like Georgia and stuff like that. The Shoney's Inns and the they were really big on Shoney's
sometime.
Yeah.
Shoney's, yeah. Is that where they weigh the kids, or is that the ground round?
Wait, what?
It's good news today at the ground round.
You get a whole lot more at the ground round. You get a whole lot more.
What's the good news?
Steak, clam, scry, just $3.99 each at participating ground rounds.
At the ground round, you get a whole lot more.
That was the ground round.
Ground round, right?
What?
That don't exist no more. It was when them pay what you weigh thing. Because kids don't have the same kind of body image issues.
Yeah, ground round. They have. I think there are. I saw.
Fuck, I go in there. I'd order a fucking lobster or something and say, pay what you weigh. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just pay the regular price.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that.
That's a very sort of, middle America, southern sort of thing, like the pay what you weigh thing for the kids. And was it like they pay? It was like a nickel a pound or something like that. Like they're weighing the kids and they have a rate for the weight of the kids. And it was just like if the kid weighs 40 pounds, nickel a pound, it's $2.
Oh, I thought you meant like they were weighing to see how much more they weighed after they ate
No,
X amount of food.
No. It's just some like gimmick to get your kids.
So,
in there
I
to
was
eat
already
cheap.
coming up with strategies for like.
because it's like dad makes the kid take a shit after they.
Yeah,
eat,
no, that was what I was thinking. I was like, well,
Like they're
obviously you don't.
trying to make weight for the wrestling tournament.
Squeeze one out.
Yeah, you gotta wait till you get there.
Yeah, the kids wear one of those like plastic bag suits.
Yeah, you
like
jog
Martin
in place
Lawrence had
in the. Yeah, you jog in place in the bathroom with the hot
There
water
are
running.
bread in your pockets.
There are still some ground rounds left.
There are?
Yeah, I saw one in Appleton, Wisconsin recently, and then I saw Huffington Post had an article about 8 restaurant chains that are dying, but there are.
Yeah, is the Hojo's outright dead now?
There's only one left, I think.
But I never even knew that they had a restaurant like that. Never even.
Yeah, I just thought it was
that
the
was
hotel.
That was a big thing. It was a hotel with a restaurant.
Yeah,
Howard Johnson's 28 ice cream flavors.
Orange sherbet was their big seller, I think, was the orange sherbet.
That's an institution that has really died out.
Yeah, no.
That was an institution at one time.
Because there was, like, in the South, there's, like, if you're driving down the highway, you occasionally get a Shoney's, you occasionally get, Cracker Barrel, I think, took over those sorts of things.
Crapper Barrel.
Well, also the Howard Johnson hotels just became real shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not, like, remodeling your hotel every couple of years, it's finished.
Well, the whole restaurant thing really evolved out of hotels, anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That
makes sense.
Yeah, because it was one of the places you could go because people staying there would get something to eat. So also, people might just go there for lunch and things. So the early restaurants were in hotels. Like some of those big, like New York ones, like Delmonico's in a hotel or something.
Something like that. There was one that I stopped off at in Cordell, Georgia, called Cutter's Buffet. And it was you'd see signs for like miles. That's big. And if you're going down 75, you would see the signs for Cutter's Buffet, and it's like world's greatest catfish, world's greatest steaks, and it'll wear on you. You'll be like, yeah, maybe this is the world's best steaks, even though
catfish.
Like common sense would say that if you're advertising anything on the billboard, it's the complete opposite of what it is.
Right.
Like, whatever. So me and my friend AJ went to Cutter's Buffet. And I have to say that was the worst fucking food I've ever eaten in my entire life. For some reason, the batter on the food, like the batter on the fried food, because it's mostly fried food, had this weird green tint to it, which I don't know where it was the oil or just what, but it had this weird sort of like fluorescent green tint to it. Like they just put like a little like coat of Ecto Cooler on the side of the.
Why didn't you leave at that
You need
point?
You need the PKE meter. You put it over the food, see if it's hot.
Well, you have to. The catch is that you have to pay first. So they rope you in. You pay your $13, and you see all these you see all these like bovine looking people from like the middle of Georgia, and it's like, well, these people were created by this restaurant.
Yeah.
They got their size and mass probably from this restaurant. It has to be decent, right? Because people eat here all the time because they're so large, and like the visual cues are there. And you look at that buffet, Jesus Christ,
Maybe they're drugging people. That's how they get back in it. Maybe that's what that green tint is. I don't care. I gotta say this: do not care for no buffets. It's a bunch of food that's just not hot enough, and I like my food hot.
I'll give you. I'm with you, but there's this buffet chain. It's in the Great Northwest, the Minnesotas, the Dakotas. It's called Pizza Ranch.
It's where life tastes better. Surround 'em up and head her down to Pizza Ranch. Whoa, that's good.
Oh, shit.
Oh, Pizza Ranch is the bomb.
I've never been there, but I live next door to 2 dudes from North Dakota who are all fucking about it. And now I want to go to North Dakota just to eat
because
at the Pizza
like
Ranch.
the food is hot, like the fried. You're like, because there's like Pizza Ranch, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's fried chicken there. It's fucking amazing. I'm like, this fried chicken's awesome. Like, what the fuck
Is the chicken better than the pizza?
Maybe. The chicken might be better than the pizza.
How is the pizza?
That's like
Pizza's
shit.
good.
Pizza's good.
Really?
Pizza's good, but the fried chicken's like on the next level. Like,
Yeah.
it's way better than like any fast food fried chicken.
I
You gotta be careful with chicken. Like if you go to, that thing Hot Doggers down around Redondo, the chicken there is nasty. It's cheap,
Yeah.
but it's nasty.
I mean, the buffet is like, even for lunch, it was like $10-12. It's not like a cheap like $7 buffet. So,
It's no Shakey's.
But yeah, I don't know.
How is-
Shakey's Pizza,
I
right?
haven't eaten
It's
at
the worst.
I still haven't eaten at the Shakey's out here. They do fried chicken out here as well.
Oh yeah, the bunch of lunch.
So the one they
God.
got back home, the fried chicken is really good, and the pizza tastes like shit. Like it tastes like the only way like the sauce has this taste of if you left a bunch of beer cans in a dumpster in July. That smell, it has that taste.
The redemption
like,
center smell.
Like just like this metal like yeast, like it's gross, dude. It's real
Sounds gross, bro.
That place sucks.
I've never been able to even go near that damn thing.
Yeah,
Always reminds me of Neil Young too.
What?
Shakey's.
I'd rather go through heroin withdrawal than eat bunch of lunch. I'll tell you that right here.
CC's, that shit is.
Yeah. You know, I have to eat at CC's about once every 2 years just to remind myself why I don't.
Yeah.
Like every 2 years, somehow I get amnesia one day and I'm like, yeah, okay, a bunch of people are going. And then like afterwards, I'm like, oh.
That's like that fucking White Castle. It's the same fucking weed.
If you drive down the highways,
nasty.
if you drive down the highways of the South, you'll be exposed to the worst pizza buffet, and that being Pizza Inn.
Pizza Inn, which the Von Erich brothers used to do commercials for in Dallas.
We're here to show you the ropes at Pizza Inn. When it comes to original thin crust pizza, nothing can beat it. Except cheesy pan pizza. Come on, you guys, call it a draw. With the all-you-can-eat buffet, you can always go back for more. All the pizza, salad, and muffins you can handle, made with the freshest ingredients for a super low price.
For Pizza Out, it's Pizza Inn.
Pizza Inn is just god awful. It's worse than CC's pizza wise, and it's twice the price. It's just like toast. It's like that. It's like the pizza. It's like. Have you ever gotten those Lunchables that are the pizza Lunchables?
I like those.
Yeah. It's as if you got an off-brand version of that, but made it a whole pizza.
So it's cold.
But it's hot. It's
So
lukewarm. It was
oven.
once hot, and now it's cold, and it tastes like shit. And it's like they used to have just the gnarliest food. It's bad. It's bad news. Like
That's why all the Von Erichs died eating all that Pizza Inn. You kill yourself too.
Yeah. What about you, Pat? Do you have any childhood?
I used to do the 95 circuit, brother, with my parents, because we used to live in South Georgia. And we would drive up 95 to go visit my folks my grandfolks in New Jersey, and then I had a grandmother up in New Hampshire. So we drive up 95, and man alive, you had some of the best roadside.
We're talking south of the border here.
Well, we got south of the border. We have it's the holy trilogy, the holy trinity of roadside tourist traps. You had south of the border.
Yeah.
You had Comanche pottery.
Ooh, yeah.
Which. We got suckered into. My mom was on this big Native American kick, and she thought it was like artisans and shit.
Yeah.
And it was just a bunch of like Native Americans selling terracotta pots in like an old airplane hangar. You know, it just looked like an airplane hangar, and they were just selling like shit from Home Depot. But Comanche pottery, which is far off the highway, so that's like that they hook you. You know, hook, line, and sinker, boom, into Comanche pottery.
Do they also like specialize in other Native American goods, like sweatshirts with pictures of wolves on them?
No, it was all pots from the garden center at Lowe's. It was weird. There was that. There was south of the border, and there was JR's. And JR's was the best because JR's was in High Point, North Carolina. I forget what the exit is on 95. And it's about the size of a Walmart supercenter. And basically, it sold nothing but cigarettes, knives, NASCAR memorabilia, collectible plates, baseball cards, just everything, every luxury good that you can imagine that a redneck would want. It's like the conspicuous consumption goods of any redneck you could get at this fucking place. And it was just like there's half of the place. Imagine half of a Walmart, but with cartons of cigarettes. And that's where you get like 5 cartons of cigarettes. You get like the Newport Alive with Pleasure t-shirt and the Newport like corduroy baseball hat. I had a whole Salem outfit from all the fucking.
I want to say I have got cigarettes there, like some off-brand like carton for $10. They was so bad, I was just giving the damn things away. I could not even smoke them. I don't even remember what the hell brand they was.
Yeah, but it was just like you just imagined, and there was just like the biggest parking lot I've ever seen, not at a sports arena. It was that fucking big, and it was just all these trucks. It's just like people drove from the tri-state area. It's just like, well, I got to get me some collector plates for grandma. I imagine that place just blew up at Christmas amongst the, yep, nope set,
We mentioned, have you been to south of the border?
Yeah, I stopped in there once.
You're at south of the border. It's located right here at I-95. It's on the North and South Carolina line. It's located at the borderline. Start off as a one small stop, and it's been here about 52 years.
Well, I never driven past it, and I was like, oh, fuck it. You know?
Well, the thing is, it's all over the East Coast. As far north as like New Hampshire, you'll see those like neon bumper stickers that just say south of the border and have the little Mexican guy. Like, what is this thing?
His name is Pedro. It's very fucked up.
Yeah.
And they have signs for this place. It's a tourist trap, and it's located on the South Carolina side of the South Carolina-North Carolina border, thus south of the border. The whole place is Mexican themed, sort of, and they have a bungee jumping tower with a sombrero on top of it. And if you go there in the summer, I imagine it's well populated. People are walking around. If you go there in the winter, it is completely dead and it is spooky.
Yeah.
It's like it reminded me of like Westworld or something. It's fucked up in the winter.
But there's
exactly.
That place in Chattanooga, Rock City.
Rock City, yeah.
Rock City.
My uncle JL has
JL.
JL's
That's a southern name.
JL's gone to the Great Divide, but he had a Rock City was painted on his barn.
Yeah, man,
somebody came around in I guess the 40s and was like, we'll give you, because their whole ad campaign was they would go to farmers and say we'll give you $200 or whatever at the time, and if we can just paint Rock City on the side of your barn. And so he
that's
had
how they did advertisements in the old days.
So he had a Rock City barn.
What was your south of the border experience like, Dave? Was it as magical as?
I think I got off. I walked around, and I was just.
It's about like everybody's.
And then I was like, it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit.
My favorite.
I like some touristy things. I get caught up in.
Oh, I love touristy shit, man. It's
but
my
that
favorite.
one was like. There was just something that was just off about it that I didn't...
Yeah, it's fucked up. Like it seems bad. And what's funny is the signs for literally like hundreds and hundreds of miles on either side of this thing on 95. There are just these weird signs, and they'll just say shit like Africa shop south of the border, sausage. Or wait, no, the sausage one says
logs are big there.
The sausage one says you never sausage a place. That's true. You never saw. You can't even stretch that to make any fucking sense. And say you never saw such a place south of the border. And then there's one that just says shalom. All right.
But you can't say they ain't being inclusive.
No, they're being very inclusive, but you're also like, there is a sleeping man in a sombrero on this. Like, you can't.
Have y'all been a wild drug?
When I was a small lad, we stopped in there, but I do not remember.
It's kind of like south of the border west, except south of the border. I actually haven't been to south of the border, but it sounds more interesting because it's got fireworks and things. Wild drug was just like
it's in Wyoming, right?
Is it in Wyoming? I thought it was in South Dakota.
It might be South Dakota. I don't know.
I've been to it. I don't even remember which one. It's in, but it's just.
Don't they give you like a glass of water or something?
They give you a donut too. They give you a free donut if you a veteran or if you've been recently married. And my brother finagled a free donut that way, which was not all that great a donut. But the food there was not all that great, and it was just like a bunch of just shops with those kind of like Indian kind of things like dream catchers and t-shirt. There was some place out the back that was better, almost like this little amusement park. If I'm remembering it right, out the back, which had like a roaring Tyrannosaurus thing and a few animatronics like that. But other than that, it was disappointing. I was hoping to pick up some knives or something. It wasn't shit.
Knives, very.
Yeah, this guy's
I like knives.
Have you had that podcast yet?
Knives?
Knives. You got to get a knife expert in here.
I got this one.
Jesus Christ. Let's put that away. Oh, my God.
Oh, what are you doing? Stop.
This is legal. It's a tool. It's a tool. You can carry it anywhere.
How many knives you got?
I don't know. I don't count.
What sort of collector does? So you have more than...
Well, it's a fashion accessory. As well as, I say, a tool. And it's a symbol of aristocracy. At least when I wear them, they are. But, it's good to always have one with you because it comes in handy. Opening things up and all that, cleaning fingernails. Even screwing screws sometimes. So everybody carry a knife. Be prepared.
This has been Mr. Goodnight with Knife Corner.
That should be a segment, man.
Mr. Goodnight's Knife Corner.
Yeah. I like this one. It's sharp.
Yeah.
It's got a release data, so if you don't, you don't get it coming out in your pocket.
Yeah, and it's got that spring-loaded release, you understand, or the legal kind where you pull back on it's like a lever. But don't get them Chinese ones. Chinese is cheap. They make so much cheap shit over there. Just flood the market with just Chinese garbage.
Buy American
Chinese
daddy.
junk, if you will. It's like Hong Kong Harbor or some shit. Because there's a lot of junk floating around. I want to live on one of them things. Y'all ever want to live on just Chinese junk? Just like one of them Chinese boats like that.
No, I wouldn't want to live on that.
Well, not in China necessarily. Maybe in like Marina del Rey or something.
I like
the junk man.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
junk
mind
man.
living. There's a part of it seems like it'd be cool to live on a boat, like one of those houseboats. That'd probably be dope.
Oh, and have you been to Sausalito?
Nah.
It's on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, Sausalito, California. It's awesome, and there's just an entire neighborhood of houseboats that are in no way seaworthy. Like you could not take this thing would just fall over if you took it out into the bay. But there'll be 2- and 3-story houseboats that are just there in this little pier area, and it's really fun to walk around because they have flower boxes hanging off the windows and stuff. But yeah, like I said, you would just sink immediately if you were like on any kind of rough water.
Usually in Florida, it was mostly either looked like double wide trailers on pontoons.
Yep, that's pretty much what they are.
Or just like rickety pieces of shit. Like somebody took a John boat and just MacGyvered a house on top of it, and all the dudes that live in them look like friggin' Nick Nolte as Captain Ron, just like just like these insufferable, just aggro hippie parrot heads, which is just a contradiction throughout, but they're just like the most aggro Jimmy Buffett fans. Do you have your high class Jimmy Buffett fans that are like the Tommy Bahama type of, higher level insurance
linen
salesmen?
pants.
Yeah, managers at car dealerships or lower level middle management at banker, those sorts of guys that are just like really Jimmy Buffett fans, or like the rich guys, but these are like the underbelly of Jimmy Buffett, and they live in their houseboats, and if you come near the houseboat, they'll use that stand your ground rule, just like, you come on near my houseboat, I'll shoot your ass. Margaritaville.
Them parrot heads get wild, man. They get wild. They're bad news. It's like fucking Altamont at those fucking things. Somebody gets stabbed to death.
Imagine getting stabbed to death at a Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, I know.
The last thing
it's much more classy when it's the Rolling Stones. Let's just face that fact.
Because the last thing you hear is the Rolling Stones playing "Gimme Shelter." The last thing
Blew
you
out
hear.
my flip flop.
The last thing you hear is pencil thin mustache when you have
the
beer
early
bottle
days.
sticking out the side of your abdomen.
I wish I had a pencil thin mustache, the Boston black egg kind.
Jimmy Buffett went to college for like 2 semesters at Auburn, and like the house where he used to live is in a place called Ford Court, and it's like it's this very, very small neighborhood with maybe 7 or 8 houses, and they used to have punk rock shows in the basement across the street all the time. And on the other side was the Jimmy Buffett house, is like the last house on the right, and there was also a quarter pipe there. So all my friends who are more athletic would go jump their BMX bikes, and I would just watch. But anyway, we were hanging out there one day, and the cops pull up outside of the Jimmy Buffett house, and they're like, do you know John Smith or whoever it was? And I was like, no, we're just hanging on the quarter pipe. They're like, all right. And the cop like bangs on the door, kind of walks around looking at the house, and then he calls, goes back in and radios, and then like 3 more cops come in. They surround the house, kick the door in, and like we're just watching all this. We're like, I don't know why they didn't tell us to get back or anything. We're just allowed to sit there and watch all this go down. They're like clearing out the house, the Jimmy Buffett house, and then he comes out, and they're like, well, there's no one in there. And they're like, look, if you see this guy, you tell him. And I'm like, I think he's going to figure it out, but all right. Seeing as how his doors kicked in, and like it was perfect. Like, it was like on cue. Like they leave, and then across the street, the door opens up, and these 3 guys walk out, and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and they're drinking whiskey. And the guy goes, fuck happened to my door, man? And I was like, well, the cops kicked it in. He goes, oh shit, and runs into the house, grabs, had a duffel bag ready, I guess, went into his car and drove off. So that's what the Jimmy Buffett house has become.
Have you gone on the pilgrimage,
Probably
Dave?
better that week.
Like the pilgrimage, like the road trip pilgrimage to like some sort of thing with your buds. Did you ever partake in that?
One time we went to Key West, that wasn't like we just went there for like New Year's Eve and shit. That was a lot of fun.
God, Key West is really fun. That's the only. Sorry, Pat. It's the only redeemable part of Florida. I think.
I had a great. It was like for New Year's Eve, and then they had like the conch shell dropped and shit like that.
Conch Republic.
Yeah, and then we camped. We slept like tents down there, and then I have a fear of like when I camp in it. Because it was also like an RV park / campground.
Yeah.
I have like this fear that I'm gonna get ran over by a car while I'm in a tent. I remember setting my tent up behind a picnic. I put a picnic table in front so nobody would run me.
Somebody would run you over.
I mean, it's happened. It's not like an illogical fear.
No, I've almost done it.
Good
you
idea.
almost ran somebody over?
Yeah, we were trying to leave Bonnaroo, and basically like the road was completely clogged, and I just like got out of my car, and because we hadn't moved in like an hour, so I got out of the car and like walked around, and I realized that there was a way to get cut onto the main road, but it would involve going through the campsites, and most people had broken down all their tents and stuff, but I was like, we can make this happen, and so I pull out of the line. I'm like, everybody just follow me. We're gonna follow along the fence line, and then we're gonna hop the embankment back onto the road. And we're going down the fence line, and there's like this tent that's in our way, and I'm just like, and I was just like, nah, let's make sure there's no one in it before we just run the tents over. And I like go out, and there is a guy just sleeping in the tent, so I have to like wake him up and be like, can you just like move your tent 5 feet to the right?
Oh, man.
It. But I would have run somebody over.
Jesus Christ! See, I was so right.
You're right. You're totally right. Just so I could get out of Bonnaroo an hour earlier.
I remember at Key West, we went to a restaurant, and this gay fella was our waiter, and my buddy, he didn't pick up that this gay fella was like hitting on him.
Yeah,
it was hilarious because this gay fella was like, "What are you guys doing?" Because they were the gay New Year's Eve, they were having Dorothy go down a red slipper. They had
yeah.
So he's like,
that's awesome.
So the gay fella was like, You want to come down there and see Dorothy come down or my buddy's like, well, I don't know, but he had no. We had to tell him I was like, that dude wants to fuck you, man. But it did get like that, like a Girls Gone Wild thing down there. Like people were throwing beads, and I got to see some titties when I was down there. And
titties makes any place just that.
Oh man, that'll make a vacation.
Yeah.
Girls Gone Wild. They used to come.
I feel like that ruined titties. Like they.
Girls Gone Wild.
It didn't
predatory
ruin,
nature of
but
Girls
it did
Gone
ruin.
Wild.
I guess they go wild, but I don't know.
It became commercialized.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
There was just something organic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like spontaneous, if you will.
I was into titties back before they sold out.
Exactly.
The Girls
titties make any location, any view, any experience better if it has titties.
Yeah.
If you're grabbing them, it's even better.
Girls Gone Wild came to because I lived in Cocoa Beach, Florida, near Cocoa Beach, Florida, in a town called Melbourne. Real shit pile.
I've been to Melbourne. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's got a little bit of a space thing there.
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
I went there once on a vacation.
Oh man, that's a bummer. I thought you were doing like comedy in Melbourne at Groucho's.
I used to work at Delta Airlines, so I could fly for free.
Oh shit!
Nice.
So we wanted to go to Florida. It was like December, so we wanted to go to Florida, and that was like the only. They had a direct flight from Cincinnati to Melbourne. There was like seats available, so me and my girlfriend worked there at the time, so we just flew down there because it was like, well, we can go down there, it'll be warm, it's cheap.
Yeah.
We found a hotel that would pick us up and take us right. They'd pick us up at the airport and take us to the hotel, so we just like fuck it.
Yeah.
So I went to your town. It wasn't the worst. I mean, it wasn't very exciting.
Yeah, growing up there is just the worst. It's bad. It's like if the Jersey Shore was 10 years behind the time and they don't have anything, they are near New York, so they have nothing to attach themselves of worth near proximity wise.
Yeah.
But Jersey Shore kind of is 10 years behind the time anyway.
So it's 20 years behind the time.
No, because you watch that shit and it's like this is what the 90s would be like if grunge never happened.
Yeah. But in Florida, Girls Gone Wild used to come to spring break all the time because it was Cocoa Beach, And one time at this bar, they had girls go. They had this bar that like if you're underage, you could go to it and drink soda. It's like if you're
I know the
18,
scam.
if you're 18 to party, 21 to Bacardi, and you would just stand there and drink soda and just like, watch people dance to bad music. So Girls Gone Wild came unbeknownst to us, and they were like, it's horrifying to watch the sausage being made for Girls Gone Wild. It's objectionable as a finished product.
Yeah.
But to see it in the works, like as if you had like a picture from Mr. Rogers where they show you how crayons are made. I got to see how Girls Gone Wild was made, and it's horrifying. It makes it, you want to cut your penis off after you see that. You just want to renounce your manhood after seeing that because you just see the worst of what men can be. So I was there with my best friend Chris, and then this guy Mark, and this other guy Chris that lived with Mark. And Chris was a weirdo. This guy was like this little scrawny guy that used to wear baby blue velour like sweatsuits and write rap songs and shit. And like he used to go to strip clubs and whip out his bench warrants for like not showing up at the courthouse because he had a hearing because he got caught with a dime bag or something. He'd have his bench warrants because he wouldn't show up, and he'd whip them out at the strip clubs, and he'd whip them out and be like, "Check me out, girl, I'm an outlaw." I'm on the run. I'm a fugitive. I'm an outlaw. So anyway, he's with us, and Chris gets super drunk. He has a fake ID, and he just gets fucked up on fuzzy navels. Like he's drinking fuzzy navels, like the ultimate badass drink.
It's a lot of fuzzy navels.
I'm an outlaw.
Yeah, I'm an outlaw. I drink fuzzy navels. I lay tile at Walmart's. So he used to be on the Walmart construction circuit, brother, and lay tile out there. And he gets completely fucked up, and he falls in love with this girl who was quite large. Double axe handle wide large.
In Italy, they would have said that she was a milk vendor.
Yeah. He falls in love with her. He's dancing with her, and she's like trying to she's even creeped out by this guy. And
he's an outlaw.
He's an outlaw, and he's just like, music stops, and they're setting up the cameras to do the wet T-shirt contest for Girls Gone Wild, and they have all the equipment out there, and Chris is like slumped in the chair, and he's like, "Where's the music? I need to find my wife." I don't know why he said wife. He's like, "I need to find my wife." And he gets up, walks across the dance floor, and is completely perplexed as to why there's nobody on the dance floor and no music playing. And he sees the one thing on the dance floor, which is all this equipment for Girls Gone Wild that they're setting up for this wet T-shirt contest, and just stares at it for like, it seemed like eternity. It was like 30 seconds. It seemed like eternity. And he just rears back and blows chunks all over the equipment. He just blows chunks. And the guy that's shooting, he's just like, "Fuck! You ruined our equipment! Like, you ruined this shoot! And like this bouncer comes out, and the bouncer must have been about 6'10", like just this big dude, 6'10", in like a tuxedo vest, like one of those type of bouncers. And he just comes out, picks Chris up by the nape of his neck like he's a kitten, and just picks him up. Chris is still vomiting. He's just holding him out at arm's length. And then he walks to the door and just throws him out like it's a saloon. Just throws him out. And Chris is flying, and he's vomiting at the same time. It's as if you shook up a beer can and shotgunned it and just threw it in the air like a hand grenade.
You get that vomit contrail.
Yeah, it's like a vomit comet, And he just lands in front of two cops, like motorcycle cops, that just are like staring at him like, this is too, should we even arrest him? This is too fucking easy.
Yeah.
And we had to collect him, and he's just like, "Yeah, I almost got my dick sucked."
Dave, tell us about your podcast.
Oh, yeah, my podcast is called Wait For It. And I want to know what people are up to outside of comedy, you know? I think maybe it's my own quest to get a hobby, or... maybe, I love comedy, and that's what I like doing. But, like, there are chunks of time where I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck to do with this time.
Hey, yeah, I feel the same way, man.
Speaking of comedy, and you perform on the road, what is the worst town you've performed in? Not necessarily the worst, like, audience. Maybe the audience was great, but what was the worst town experience you found yourself in?
I'll say a town I'll never go back to.
Okay.
Bluefield, West Virginia.
Ooh. Oh,
yum.
I've never
It's
heard
on
of
the border of West Virginia and Virginia.
Not even the Pennsylvania part, which is like the at least somewhat respectable part. It's like
It was all
the real
Virginia
shits
once.
part.
It was all Virginia
I
once.
think I did the gig more than once. I think I did it twice.
Yeah.
It's in a Holiday Inn, and anytime a town like where people go to the Holiday Inn bar, it's like the
Yeah,
place
yeah.
to-
That's red flag.
That's bizarre. To
Yeah.
me. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I remember like I got there early, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna drive downtown. There's a downtown, and there was a parking garage that was like abandoned. You ever seen an abandoned? It's like the most
horrifying.
I was like, oh man, this is fucked. And then it was like just a theater that was just bombed out. And like, it was just like the whole. There was nothing. I was like, oh man, this is when I just saw that parking garage. It was just there was something that was just so overwhelming about it that I couldn't take it. I was just like, like grass is growing out of a parking garage. I was just like, oh my god,
it's like Escape from New York.
I was gonna say, it sounds like
Were there
sounds
any
like
particular
you're like
people that
zombies. That's it.
was there anybody that just like particularly embodied the town? Like any one person in that Holiday Inn bar that just really.
I remember fucking eating a dick and then not really wanting to be friends with anybody. That's usually how those hotel gigs, and especially when you open like you do like these one-nighters. It's a 2-man show, and you're the feature, so you go up cold.
Yeah.
For 30 minutes for people that don't even know anything about comedy.
Yeah.
And then whoever usually follow me is like some fucking hack machine, and they're like, "Oh Jesus!" They lose their mind. So I'm just sitting in the back of the hotel bar, just angry, getting drunk. I'm like, that's the only thing I like about the hotel show is like you're staying in the so you can just get fucking shithoused.
Yeah. There's nowhere to
I remember
go.
just sitting back there one time. I was like, "This guy, I wanted to stab one of the headliners because he was just such a hack." I was just like, "This guy." I think I drove like 12 hours to do like 2 one-nighters, and I got there, chewed it, just ate it. I'm like, I drove 12 hours. Like, I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And then this guy goes up, hack attack.
What variety of hack was he? Because there are the
puppets.
I don't, you see it when you see it. You know what I mean? It's hard to, when somebody like, this guy's just a fucking hack. When he's like, I'm sweating like a thing, that was like, anytime you have a sweating like a joke, and that's in your first 2 minutes, you're done. I hate you. I hate you. I want you to die.
There goes me. Don't see my act. Don't see my act. You do a lot of crowd working when you had the damn 30 minutes there?
Yeah, but I would try to do the crowd work too late. Once they already hated me. I didn't have. I was probably too defiant in a sense. I mean, I shouldn't have. I mean, ultimately, I stuck my ground, and now I'm my own person. I never catered to like that. So I mean, ultimately, I made the right decision for my career, but. It's this self-survival thing. I probably would have been better off by maybe like, hey, anybody's, like if I had done a little bit of host. I've never been the best host.
Pandering to it. It's like, you ever fart in a coal mine? That shit's weird.
Instead, I just
it's not like the air was that good in there in the first place. Probably an improvement.
I would just be
the canary might pass out though.
I'd just be like, here's my jokes, deal with it, and that was dumb, but. Ultimately paid off.
The important thing is that you get paid.
Yeah.
Then that's all that matters.
And you got a free
$125.
There we go.
Did you get the bar tab at the Holiday Inn?
You paid that hotel check.
That's right. Well, how can people find you online, Dave?
The internet.
Perfect. There we go.
Booyah, Grandma!
Boom. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Do you have any?
What we got?
Shows?
Oh yeah, shows, gigs.
We're not used to plugging people.
Well, just go DaveWaiteComedy.com, and there's an E in there, and then Dave Waite Comedy for Twitter and Facebook and all that.
Heard it here first. So yeah, check out Dave's podcast. Wait for it. Probably get to that.
I like how you go into the radio voice at the end. You just kind of compose yourself, and you just go. Rivers Langley here.
Do you want to do the?
I like Rivers' radio voice. It's seductive.
Well, I've got multiple. I've got my this is just conversational.
Yeah.
if I'm really thinking about it, I can bring it down here. And then I've also got the.
I would listen to you at night.
Well,
playing
see, I've
smooth
also
jazz.
yeah, I can do Quiet Storm. I can also do the Grand Ole Opry or like an old time thing where it just goes, "Howdy, friends and neighbors, and welcome back to the radio show." Now, I'd like to remind you that this hour of our program is brought to you by Godot's Funeral Home and Tombstone Sellers. When it's time to go with Godot. And we'd like to send a special shout out to our sick and shut in listeners.
We should start with that.
Yeah, I know. We need to go. We need to hack Keeler.
They're doing from Bum Equipment, I believe.
Zubaz.
Ruse. Remember that? Ruse, dude. Shoes for your feet, pockets for your stuff.
But thank you, Dave, for coming aboard the train here.
All right. See you next time. The Goods from the Woods is mixed and edited by me, Rivers Langley, and distributed by Westcast Network. Our theme song is composed by DJ Smiles. You can find him online at djsmiles.net.